The world is changing fast, and with all these changes taking place around us, the digital ecosystem assures technological continuity, resilience, stability, development, but also assures risk assessments. Today, I have the pleasure to welcome Mr. Onisiforos Soteriou, the CEO of Plexus IT Solutions. My name is Dr. Mario Eftimiopoulos, and I'm your host. And this is Prime Analysis. Dear Mr. Soteriou, thank you very much for coming at Prime Analysis.
Thank you very much for the invitation to be here today with you, Dr. Eftimiopoulos, and discuss about the digital era, digital communications, and the threat that we face today with a new challenging world.
Thank you very much for this introduction, and I think we're going straight to the point. So allow me to just start the discussion by asking a very simple question. If we were to describe what is the digital environment, what is the digital environment? How do we define it? What is it?
It's a very nice question, and I will try to answer it with a simple word. Today's life, everything is based on the IP. Everything is based on the digital. And what I mean with the digital, we have our mobile phones, we have the laptops, we have everything that is connected to the universe. And I mean the universe, we can have, let's start from our house. We have the smart TVs, we have the smart appliance, we have everything. We have now smart cars. Just imagine to not be able to have internet access. What will happen? So the digital era is like an environment that is everything interconnected. We have an IPs, 0 and 1s, that the machines can use that one and make our life easier. But without this technology, our life will not be the same as it is now.
Okay, so allow me to just go into a deeper mode, if I may. The way that you described it in the beginning, the necessity and the need, and at the same time, the compulsory action that we have the internet and all elements of digital information, looks like an umbrella that connects the world. So we are beneath it, we are protected from it, we secure the services of it, but are we reliant on it? Do we rely too much maybe on technology?
Yes, exactly. We are too much depending on the technology. Unfortunately, the way that our societies, our work, or the lifestyle that we have today is very reliable on our digital footprint. And what I mean with a digital footprint, just imagine the teenagers today, they cannot live without TikTok, Facebook, Messenger, etc.
But these are social media which are provided by the access of the internet, right?
Yes, and we have the umbrella that everything is under, and we think that we are protected. We are not protected. So we have our life exposed to everyone, and we think that our mobile phones or our device are secure. We are not secure. So everything, it seems that we live in one world that is secure, but in reality, we expose everything to everyone. Yeah. So this is the scary one.
I mean, you said multiple, you used multiple words that I want to go into detail. So I'm just going to break down our discussion, and for our audience to know that this is a discussion that is actually follows a path, if you want. But at certain times we need to extend, if you want, the discussion. So let me go back a few years. The revolution of the microchip, and the revolution of the microchip initiates a World Wide Web, which is there by 1994. Telecommunication splits and becomes internet provider later on. Initially, the internet is provided by the telecommunication authorities, and then we have internet providers, and then internet providers actually take over of telecommunication companies, because now is everything, as you said, over IP. And suddenly, from a market that is quite open to the public, and that is the next best thing to technology affiliation and practice, has become more like an entity to which we are dependent upon. So from a service provider has become a dependency from us and on us, which, as you said correctly, somehow we are exposed to it.
Yes.
So are we exposed? I mean, I want to know more about your company, obviously, about what you're doing. But before I actually go there, is this the exposure reason that people like yourself do companies as such?
Yes, the simple answer is yes. So based on the advance of the technology, and what do we mean in advance of the technology is that everything is become more complicated. I will give you an example. In 2004, I was joined the first mobile operator in Cyprus, that at that time was Ariba. So at that time, the main use of the mobile phone is just to receiving calls or sending an SMS. So in 2004, we implement in Cyprus with SITA at the same time the MMS, the multimedia message services, and GPRS. Then GPRS was using the network with an IP in order to have internet access. So that moment, everything changed, because before was a phone just to see how is my friend Marios doing, or to arrange something to go out with the friends, or to ask something. Now, from that time, we make everything to be on the web, to be live. And that time was 2004. Now we speak about 5G. Now we prepare for 6G, 7G. Now we are preparing for multiple other protocols that will help our life. I will make some technical comment. I will leave it here. We are now trying to implement IPv6. IPv6 is a protocol. So what this means, that we'll have some billions IP addresses that will be assigned to each device, and that device, with using IPv6, will be able to access internet without anything else.
Probably for those that do not understand the technology language, if you want, you're talking about capabilities.
Yes.
Capabilities and capacities. So the capabilities and capacities in the World Wide Web in the country of Cyprus really matters. So allow me to ask a few things about your company. Please tell us what your company does in order to be able to, if you want to expand in those capabilities and capacities, and answer a few questions which are actually reflective both in the technology world, in the geostrategic world, and also the market world. So tell us a few things, first of all, about Plexus IT Solutions.
So Plexus IT Solutions was incorporated in 2016 with the main focus to offer network security solutions to the companies that they need that services. And what we mean about network security, we are in define the cybersecurity field, and we break it down. So in order to be able a company to have internet to access, it needs a network. So this network is the primary focus of our company in order to secure it. Okay. So we offer network and security services from the design, from the management point of view, from the implementation. We offer cybersecurity services, which is a part of a bigger part of our company, which is named Plexus Guard, which is this full managed services. So we can go to any company and we start from A to Z, anything they need in order to secure their network. And the meantime, we offer consultancy services for cloud and on-premises. And also in the next 3 months, we're launching also the Plexus Academy, which is the main focus to provide technology training to users of internet.
Yeah, to the end user, basically.
End users will have a company, but also will have some individual trainings for people that they want to get into technology.
Well, while you're talking about this, I'm wondering at the age when I was a student still, and we were just receiving, if you want, the first waves of the internet and the capabilities of the internet. We never wondered exactly how far and how deep it is going to become. But you just described basically the everyday solution of a company and also the individual.
Yes.
Because you also mentioned all the personality training part, which is quite interesting. And having said that, I'm pretty sure that if we talk to older people, which may not be so reliant on technology, which may not know the technology so deep, they may wonder how far we have gone with regards to technology. And imagine even more, younger generation of people, how much more complex or more simplified for them it will be, and probably more complex for us it will be. So what I understand from the whole environment, if you want, discussion, at least at the initial point, is that the environment has already shifted. So technology is inside our everyday life, and definitely on companies, on corporations, institutions, organizations, governments, everything is there. And as I understand, you provide a key, a holistic bundle of services with regards to the protection. So I presume that protection comes from the necessity to join a market economy that is technology based. So I'm talking about interconnectedness between states. How are these states interconnected? Because I know you mentioned earlier the national communications carrier of Cyprus. How is Cyprus connected to the world? What are the kinds of installations that ordinary people may not know? What are those?
Okay. Due to the fact that Cyprus is an island, our connection to the world, to the rest of the world, is more complicated than some other countries. Let's say an example, Greece, Bulgaria, Germany. So Cyprus is based
because of mainland versus island.
Okay. Yes. So because we have around of us sea. So the main interconnection to the rest of the world is based on submarine cables. So we have different cables with different carriers. We have landing stations in Cyprus, and what we mean landing stations is a station is like an office that the cable is terminated.
Ends with and splits in the...
Is terminated there, and from there is going to, and depending from the carrier, SITA, Primetel, CableNet, etc., is going to the users. Also, we have some satellite stations. SITA is having one of the best satellite stations in the region. And
presumably exactly because it's an island.
Yes.
So it had to develop the
Yes, we have the technology. And also we have some other private companies that they decide in the last few years to build smaller satellite hubs in Cyprus in order to use the geographically position of Cyprus, and also because Cyprus is a part of Europe, but it's also
in the Mediterranean region, Southeast Mediterranean, the Middle East.
And Middle East. So it's playing a part of interconnection, the both areas.
Right. So it's a hub.
Yes,
so it could be a hub, or is it
a hub?
It is a
hub.
It's
a hub. And
so which countries are we connected with?
For example, now we have Lebanon, we have Syria, we have Israel, we have Egypt, that are interconnecting. Now there are some other
They're
companies.
interconnected, but
Yes.
you said Cyprus is a hub.
Yes.
Because it splits with them.
Yes, for example, the cables from the France is coming to Cyprus, is terminated to Cyprus, but also in the same time, another cable is leaving Cyprus and going to Israel or Lebanon. So
What about Egypt?
we
Egypt
have
is in-
with Egypt. Egypt is a part of a bigger one project, but now
Is that the current project that was decided to
No,
go through
the-
Saudi Arabia?
no, that one.
Okay.
Will be, I think, will be implemented in 2024. That one.
Okay.
But now we have some other, for example, we have the university ISP in Cyprus. So that is a part of GIANT. The GIANT is the European.
Right.
So we have cables that they are coming from France and terminate to Cyprus. But in the meantime, cables are going to Israel and Lebanon, and now is Syria, and we'll have, I think, in 2024, one will go to Africa. That will be used for the university interconnection. So it's already a hub, but also for some applications, Cyprus is the one that is offering services.
I presume from Europe
Yes, to Middle East.
to the Middle East or Africa.
Yes.
What about the opposite side? Because I've been reading that the line that is coming from Singapore to Saudi Arabia through the Gulf,
Yes.
the Arab Gulf, and goes all around and
And it will come to
Gulf of Aden,
Cyprus.
and then goes to Cyprus.
Yes.
This is we give or we get or both.
Will be both.
It will be both.
Will be vice versa. And why we need these cables? So the internet traffic is like a worldwide traffic.
Yes, of
so
course.
for services that are coming from from Asia, it will use that cable. For services that are coming from USA or Europe, they will use another cable. So this one, it using the routing based on the area you are focused. So with these cables, we have faster interconnections, and also we have less latency based on the positions we have, let's say a web
Yeah,
server.
but what about satellite, however? I mean, satellite connection, isn't it faster?
No, satellite
I mean, it's
connection.
an option. I understand the diversification in the economic aspect, but isn't it faster in the satellite? I mean, Starlink, for example, the private company of Elon Musk, Starlink, this is satellite provider somehow.
Yes, it's a satellite provider, but the satellite will have some disadvantage over fiber cables.
Right.
So one of the disadvantage is the latency that may have, or that sometimes maybe will not have any availability. So there are some aspects that we cannot focus on the satellite only.
Right.
And
Mostly about private data, you mean? or-
private data, the latency, and also the cost.
Right. So, okay. So we're still at the level where the cost of the satellite costs
Yes.
more than,
Yes,
I wouldn't call it landline, but, you know,
it's a landline, but okay.
sea line.
It's sea line. But imagine we are in Cyprus, we are an island. If we are in a main land, we will not need expensive cables.
But I'm wondering now, a country like Greece with all these hundreds of islands, I mean thousands of islands, but the main ones, which are hundreds, how are they connected?
They have the fiber connections undersea.
So they have on everything. undersea
Yes, and
connections.
also they have some island to island. So
All right,
they have
okay.
one
So
hub.
they have one hub and
and
it splits
go,
on others,
yes.
which is a central one.
And
Okay,
they use
that's
also, because Greece is having also some of the islands, they receiving electricity from the mainland with the cables, so
Right.
they have also fiber cables with that line.
And I'm changing all this, I'm going into politics.
Okay.
Because the reflection of, I mean, unfortunately or fortunately, the technology companies play a very pivotal role in the world of politics. You've seen what Elon Musk had done with Ukraine,
Yes.
what he's been accused exactly because of Ukraine, because switching off Starlink. While at the same time, he has provided some information or some part of it, of Starlink, which goes very private to the Ministry of Defense of the United States of America. At the same time, resilience is it's a must, as I understand it. Probably because while you are also talking, I was thinking, how do we secure major national infrastructure with regards to the protection of the internet itself? I mean, if you want to damage somebody, you said, what happens if we have no internet? I mean, if you want to put people back to the before age of high-level technology, if you want to call it like this, then you hit in this sort of national boundaries. What happened? Are they protected? And I'm not talking only physically, I'm talking digitally. And I know that you're offering this with your company. So are they protected, and how are they protected? I mean, don't give me the solution,
Yes.
obviously. Just give me the framework. I know that legally and government level, there is a decision to protect national infrastructure, whether digital or analogic. That's fine. But in terms of practice, are they truly protected? We've seen cases in the summer, or I think in early summer, where some public companies and some public entities were hacked. So are we protected? And if so, in what level and what capacities?
In Cyprus, we have the Digital Security Authority.
Right.
So this authority is one that is responsible for the critical infrastructure to be secure. So the Digital Security Authority is issue recommendations, and the critical infrastructure they need and they have to follow. What we mean?
They have to follow based on EU decision, I
EU
presume. Or global cyber.
it's EU, but also
Or ENISA.
it's ENISA, it's European Union they have, but also the local.
Right.
So as a Cyprus, we have some standards that we need to follow, especially the critical infrastructure. And as we speak about critical infrastructure, imagine in Cold War, the main concern of Western countries was about the ability of the Soviet Union to cut the international lines that they transfer data, voice, and etc.
In Second World War?
Yes, no, in the Cold War.
During the Cold War, okay,
yes.
okay.
So imagine now Cyprus is an island. So we base our communication on the sea lines. So
I mean, I'm sorry, but it's of no coincidence that Vladimir Putin was attempting to do his own internet before the war, and they were testing the grounds on if they can be away, if they can stay away from all those lines. But I mean, can they?
Yes, it's
they
easy.
Okay, but they're excluded from the rest of the world, right?
Yes, now.
I mean, can you? I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just stopping you, but can you say West switch off?
Yes.
Africa switch on, Asia switch on.
It's possible. Like everything is possible with the digital era.
That's interesting.
For example, I will go more technical in this, just to answer it. It's about that in every region we have a scheme of IP addresses.
Right.
So if I want to block Africa, I will block that scheme of IP address. So I will complete block Africa to go out to internet. So communication will be lost. I will cut or close the cables that interconnect Africa with other countries. And we have the big countries, they have the ability.
Okay. Which are the big countries? Which are the true providers of the internet? How is the internet stored? I mean, we have storage with bitcoins and mining and all this, but do we have storage, like data storage, like global data storage? Who gets the data? Who creates the data? Who provides the initial internet? I mean, is it circular? So it circles, the more and more it circles it is, but can somebody switch it off? Because you said the big powers. Which are the big powers? I mean, you said earlier, you said France is giving.
France is giving, but there are some other countries that the cables they are starting and ending. The issue is not which countries, it's the bodies. Okay. So,
institutions, you mean?
Yes.
The bodies.
So every country, every region is separate with different institutional bodies that they manage internet. So when I will decide, for example, if I want to have an attack, the first thing that I will do is just to manage to block communications from specific IP blocks. I'm a country.
Yeah, you have the right of your sovereignty, you mean?
Yes.
Within the right of your sovereignty and the right of your borders, digital or analogic, you have the right to define the law.
Yes.
And as long as the law is democratic, in essence.
Democratic, yes. But during a danger, during a war, or a cold era between different countries. For example, now we have Russia against the Western countries. Russia sometimes is backed by China based on their opinion, what is best for them.
These are policy, you mean regulations?
Yes.
So, okay, but Russia has invaded unlawfully Ukraine. There are different layers of cyber issues. One, it was apparently that was receiving cyber attacks for a long time.
Yes.
But the second one is, was Russia provider of internet access to Ukraine so they can cut them off?
There are other means to cut off internet access. So
Right.
you don't need to have physical connection to them. You have one of the services that you can use is distribute denial of service attacks, DDoS.
DDoS, yes.
Okay.
The DOS is attacks.
Yes. So the main issues there that is how the countries can protect their infrastructures, and it's very crucial, this one, for the strategic planning and how the traffic is going out. For example,
And I presume the infrastructure in every country is different.
yes, the issue, but some of the manufacturers of the equipment, the vendors of the equipment are standard for every country almost. Okay, so
Such as?
We have Cisco,
So
which is
American.
It's American.
Or German or Dutch or...
It's American, this one, Cisco. Is one of the biggest one.
Mhm.
We have Huawei from
Huawei.
China.
Okay.
That the recent years we have an argument in USA that Huawei is a part of Chinese army. So we have spy espionage. So they decide to remove it from any government infrastructure. And also it's not allowed to private companies to have that equipment. So this...
What about everybody else, however? I mean, you had Nokia, you have Motorola, you have other companies, you have regional companies, you have models made in Serbia, in Greece, in Italy. You have different companies. Do they get the same access? Do they get the same technology knowledge?
No.
Capabilities?
Each company, it's having its own capability, but as everything in this world, is the big money speaking. For example,
or the big sources that they have.
It's big money at the end of the...
Right.
Except if you are backed from behind the government, you have behind of you a government. So if you don't have a government behind of you, then it's big money. So, and what is the big money? Is giving you access to R&D, to research and development. Right. So everything, most of the patents is based how internet, how security is working.
Before, however, we'll go to R&D. Because you're opening a whole new chapter of R&D. And my first question would be, which is the most R&D oriented country in the world at this point? But before I go into this, up until now, politically, you just told me that we are as much needed equipment and basic infrastructure or specific infrastructure. And at the same time, we're very volatile because we depend somehow on the alliance that we have, therefore the engagement that we have, whether this is in the East or the West. And somehow this says a lot with regard to what is happening geostrategically around the world.
Yes.
Can we call a competition in technology? I mean, we thought the 21st century is going to be the century of technology, and it is, somehow it is, because technology has been in the center point now of our lives. But the element of volatility, or maybe the variables that create volatility, were not counted for. And therefore, we also had to split technology rather than share it. And when I talk about technology, I don't necessarily mean about the internet itself, but I mean the whole uses of technology from space to everything else. And I remember the case of Tesla with Elon Musk, where Elon Musk said, why should it not be an open resource for people to do other cars and, with the same technology and the same R&D? So I think he wanted to make a point over there that, technology is to be shared and not to be exploited negatively, obviously. But it seems that it's negatively exploited because countries make a policy, make a strategy, and therefore become more strong. So for those countries which are not the producers, which are the service providers or the service buyers or the knowledge transfer countries, so they have to split on alliances. And based on what's happening around the world, we split on alliances. Am I correct so far?
Yes.
Okay. So what is the solution to assure that on the one hand you have a global capability, but also a market orientation capacity in the cyber ecosystem?
It's a difficult question to be answered. And why is this? Because at the moment, due to the geopolitical era we are now, with the war in Ukraine, with the difference between China and Taiwan, USA back different countries, and the competition, who will be the superpower, who will manage the world. Unfortunately, the advantage of the technology, so I'll go back in order to answer it, is based on military use. So what I mean, we have some...
military use, you mean military research and development?
Yes.
That then goes to the market?
Yes, so the first...
or maybe in the middle you have Hollywood.
No.
Actually, no, yeah, of course you do.
No.
There were cases where Hollywood movies were utilizing technology to showcase.
Yes, but that is very limited. So many of the tools we have for protection or
it's
for
government
attack,
and then goes in the market.
Yes, for attack, are built or designed for government, either military or civil.
I mean, some people say that the intranet within the U.S. military army existed long before the internet.
Yes, the intranet was the base for intranet.
Right.
So
it's
USA
a different
Army
method of communication, basically, between access point 1 to access point B.
Yes. So the United States military, they had internet before the world know what is internet.
Right.
So even now, different applications. Now we have the AI, artificial intelligence, which is another one big topic. But what is happening now? We have the cybersecurity, and in order to be a good defender or attacker, was based on your knowledge. Now we have the artificial intelligence that was AI. Built for the military and is using also for civil, and now it take over the cybersecurity.
What about, but you're making, I understand, but I want you to go specific into how does AI take over cybersecurity, probably as a protection mechanism, I don't know, you will explain to us, but also cloud computing.
Let's start with the AI. So the AI, unfortunately, in the beginning, we thought that, it will help defenders. Unfortunately, it will also helping attackers.
Offenders.
Why?
Yes.
Because if I'm...
Gives them the solutions. Or does the solutions for them minimal cost.
Now I'm a user, I want to make a script for a vulnerability. So I'll go to the AI, I will ask, write this one, blah, 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 and I'll have a solution. So instead of studying and learning a program language, a Python, C++, etc., I'll go to AI, I'll ask, and I have a script. So it's open to all the users now to be able to have like cybersecurity tools on their laptops. Before we had was limited, and you need to have a good education, to good knowledge of how the system working in order to build something. Now it's open to everyone. From the other part, AI is helping us to defend against new threats. So many of our
All of
softwares.
this in a simple language is called automation.
Yes.
And automation has been there since the Industrial Revolution.
Yes, but the automation.
But automation people were thinking for
yes,
it.
that time automation is that I was putting some variables on the software or in hardware, and I was expecting an output.
Yes.
Now I have AI putting that variables, so I don't know. I don't know
you just
how
give the order.
to. Yes.
I want you to make me a car, and it makes the car for itself,
Yes.
as long as it puts AI on a process of construction.
And sometimes this one, we have bigger problems to handle AI than to handle a user. A user that a human.
Does it think?
Yes.
That's right. Does it have feelings?
No, for the moment. As far as I...
There was an interview with one of the journalists initially, where the AI was stating to the journalist that I cannot harm any human for whatever reason, et cetera, et cetera. And at some point when the journalist turned around and said, I'm a journalist, the AI responds, I'm angry because you didn't tell me. Okay. So on the one hand, it doesn't have feelings. On the other hand, it hides its feelings. And then again, it seems to have the understanding of what hate or anger means. At least means, if not feeling it.
Yes, but...
So where are we going with this?
We are at the beginning, so we don't know. And just imagine, I will describe the worst case scenario. We create a robot, we give him or her...
We have Sophia, we have a lot of other robots,
I mean
we have robots in the war.
For military use.
Yeah, it's already in the war
yes,
zones.
But the robots we have are controlled by a human. Just imagine to build a robot.
A cyborg.
Yes, with its own AI.
And genetics.
Yes.
Being on the outside and look like a human.
It doesn't matter if it's look like a human or it will be just a robot, but with the possibility to think, to act by itself. And
therefore survive by itself? Yes. So recharge by itself when it's needed?
Yes, because AI is continue learning. If we have this option there, it's very scary. And it's also, it was a very scary scenario. But now if we go back to the cybersecurity, it's happening now. Right. We have...
but cybersecurity at this point, it seems to be staged out.
Yes.
Somehow hidden, but still is there.
Yes.
Because you can still hack a robot, I presume, right? Because it's networked.
Yes. Everything that with IP. And it's for this reason that we say, we have the tools, we have hardware, we have software. But the main defense line for everyone, for a company, is to have the user aware. Right. And what we mean user aware? To have once per year a training for security awareness. Describe the user, what is happening. Just before you say that the age, we have different ages. Just imagine now CEO for a company that is 55 or 60 years old. Maybe the specific person, the computer that was having is just to make an email, write a Word or an Excel.
Whereas now you have data, you have archives, you have private
Just
archives.
Imagine that the specific user is not able to understand fully the technology.
And which is, I think, the majority of this population on Earth.
Yes.
Except those that are working on software or hardware.
Yes, and accepting people that they have technical background.
Technologies, yes.
And imagine that as a CIO, to try to persuade
CIO is
a chief information officer,
yes.
To try to buy equipment to secure the company, and I'm going to my CEO and asking for 100,000 euros. But why? We don't need. We don't. Nobody wants to access our system, and etc.
So what you're saying is that you are preventive.
The only thing
because the way that you define things is that it may not have happened just as of yet, but I want to be preventive.
Yes.
Self-preventive, company preventive.
Everything will be prevent from the personal use, but also business-wise.
Right.
you need to have prevent measures.
Right.
And the first measure is your staff. So you asked before about how secure we are. Nobody, it will say that you are 100% secure. It's always 99. Why? You have 1%, which is the human factor, is your users.
Right.
So just imagine.
I'm sorry, I'm just
Okay,
stopping you
just-
again, but two last very short questions and very short answers. Cloud computing. Where does cloud computing get into all of this?
Was the trend before AI. So everything
It was or still is?
is still, but
I mean, do we look at it as a trend, or do we look at it as a policy, as a business orientation, as a process, and so on?
it's more complicated than that, because some companies, they are willing to take everything, infrastructure data, to the cloud. So nobody knows where is the data. If we take the big companies, they have different data centers around the world. In Ireland, in Germany.
And I think they do this for security reasons.
Yes, and also because...
Also balance.
Also balance, but also because as European Union, we have strict policies.
Right.
European Union is make the best...
In terms of the GDPR you're talking about,
yes,
probably, yeah.
European Union is make the best policies about security. We are the first...
which, however, make the market more complicated?
It's more complicated,
simple?
but it's also more secure. And due to GDPR, is not allow European companies to have the data not in Europe.
Right, of course. The
So
Europeans
we have the
want
data centers. And to just to finish the question and give you the answer, cloud computing is present, will be also in the future. But I am, from my point of view, I'm watching a trend that we are going back to hybrid. So some of the equipment data will be on premise, and some other will be on the cloud. So it's still a battle between hybrid and cloud.
And that leads me, if you want, to the final question, which I think you kind of mentioned, but AI, cybersecurity, cyber installations, capabilities, capacities, national structure and strategy, capability to create, but also capability to research, and therefore utilize before you go to actual market throughout your own government.
Yeah.
So the question is, who has the best research and development, the so-called R&D? Who's the bigger seller? Who is the bigger creator, innovator, if you want to call it like this, or who's competitive in that matter? I mean, if there's none, which are the, let's say, the top 3 countries with which we can explain, if you want, this geopolitical shift, or the reason why these countries play a pivotal role, not only in politics, but also in the world of the digital ecosystem?
Okay. If we take it from the cybersecurity point of view, Israel is one of the countries that is generate more cybersecurity startups every year.
A startup doesn't mean power status?
Yes, because, for example, I will give you an example of company, Checkpoint, which is number 1 for cybersecurity. Was the birth was Israel. So the Checkpoint company is too big to be failed, or is too big that is serving many countries with a cybersecurity solution.
Understood.
And it's one of the part that Israel, okay, it cannot change everything, but is providing also a power. The other is USA, because there are many companies there, and they are backed from their government. And the third party, which is big on R&D, and we have also a battle with the geopolitical, is Huawei with China. So Huawei is having around 200,000 personnel around the world working only for R&D. So this one is providing also with the back of China is a part of geopolitical power.
Right.
And we have now USA and China
Competing.
competing. And I give you an example and I finish. Kaspersky was a Russian company for cybersecurity antivirus. Was having USA government, federal agencies, they had Kaspersky. Germany, they had Kaspersky on their...
But Kaspersky, I think it's now in the US, right?
No. When they start with Russia to have issues, USA and Russia...
But that was before the war in Ukraine.
Yes, before.
Yeah.
Okay. It was after Crimea...
no, it should have been, I think, after Estonia, 2008.
No, it's
yes.
After Estonia, 2014. So
in Crimea in 2014.
Yes, sorry, Crimea. And one night, United States of America decide that I don't want Kaspersky, and they decide to replace everything. So by doing this one, was enforcing all the other countries that they support USA, members of NATO and several European countries. Yes, to remove Kaspersky from their institutions, from government-built offices, etc. So this was a big hit to a company that was one of the biggest for cybersecurity and was creating issues. They didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, they didn't care. They cared where they're coming from.
But was a Russian. It's like now with Huawei, also is from vice versa. Cisco, Juniper, and etc. So if you go to a countries that are supporting China or Russia,
you have access to that market.
Yes,
Where's
so
that market?
is the power for the cybersecurity. It shouldn't be due to the way, but unfortunately, it's how it's working.
Well, Mr. Soteriou, thank you very much for this discussion. It was really interesting, and I hope to have you yet again in our studio and our Prime Analysis. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much for the invitation again, and I hope so that the discussion will be helpful for everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for watching another web series episode of Prime Analysis. Please subscribe, like, share, and follow our social media. My name is Dr. Mario Eftimiopoulos, and I was your host at Prime Analysis. And remember, impact makes a difference.